That represents Osiris, who is buried inside of there. Osiris or Hiram Abiff or whatever other Bacchus or whatever they want to call it, it all represents the same thing. It is the Antichrist who has been sealed. He is buried in. He is covered up. He has been hidden. So then, after Typhon seals Osiris inside the coffin, here's what happens. His coffin lodged in a tree, and when the flooded Nile River, when the flood waters went down in the city of Biblos, Isis recovered it, but before she could resurrect her husband, Typhon once again took the body and cut it into, here we go, 14 pieces. Took those 14 pieces of Osiris's body and scattered them all over the earth. Now, here's something that's interesting. Of the 14 pieces, one of those pieces was Osiris's male part. That's all I'll say. Okay? I've been to Dealey Plaza, where JFK was killed, who was 46 years old on the 33rd parallel. There's all these numbers here. Supposedly Oswald was on the 6th floor of the book repository. They're standing, here's a picture of it. They're standing at the head of Dealey Plaza is a giant obelisk. Obelisk has the word Baal in it, Bel. It is Baal's shaft. And if you look, I've been here, I've counted this. There are 14 sections to this particular obelisk. Now, this obelisk was in place the day that Kennedy was killed. It wasn't put up that day, but it was already there. And they killed him at this area. Kennedy represents the dying God who awaits resurrection one of these days. Because where they buried him, there's an eternal flame that keeps coming up out of the ground. Think about that, all right? So that's what Kennedy represents. And he was shot and killed, murdered, right in front of this obelisk that's divided into 14 sections. It represents the 14 parts of Osiris that have been scattered all over the earth. So here's what Isis did. Isis wants her husband to live. She wants her husband to live so she can resurrect him through his son, Horus. So she went all throughout the world. She took the pieces and started gathering all the pieces. She found 13 of the pieces and brought them all back together. Here's a graphic here. This is an old painting from the 1500s of Isis gathering all of the body parts of her dead husband, Osiris, so she can put him all back together. Think of Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty did what? Had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty back together again. That's what Isis is trying to do. Isis is the feminine fertility goddess. She is trying to bring